All right, guys, just like I would do in class, I'm going to go over the warm-up for Monday. I'll also have a second video up that I'll go over the warm-up for Tuesday. Both of these sections of the warm-up are on ClassKick, and they do have a fill-in-the-blank that require the answer. So what you need to do is watch this video, watch all the way through as I solve them and discuss how I solve them, and then you are going to go to ClassKick and fill in those answers so that I know you watched the video and that you understand or hopefully understand how to do them. Remember, if you ever don't understand something or need some extra help on warm-ups, classwork, anything, please message me on Remind, email me, on Power School Learning, anything like that. So let's get started with Monday's warm-up, okay? We're gonna read this word problem, annotate, we still have to annotate. Okay, so there are 455 students in the 8th grade at Forest Middle School. If 60% of them went on a field trip to Washington, D.C., and the school reserved one room for every 4 students on the trip, how many rooms did the school need to reserve? So what's going on here? We have some 8th graders, and there's 455 in total. And the problem tells us that 60% of those 455 went on a field trip. That's part 1. Part 2 tells us that for every 4 students, there's one room. So we need to figure out of the students who went, not all 455 went, out of the students who went, how many rooms did they need? So this is a 2-part problem. I'm going to start with figuring out how many students actually went on this trip. So if I have a percentage, and they're asking me to find a percentage of a number, I know that part over whole equals percent over 100. We've said that a lot of times this year. We've done a lot of problems like this. So part over whole. Well, the part would be the part of students who are going, and whole would be the total number of 8th graders, and they gave us the whole. They gave us the total number of 8th graders. And then we always know that percent goes over 100, so I have 60 going over 100. So to find the part of the students who went, we're going to cross multiply and divide. And when I do that, you can do that in your calculator. 455 times 60 divided by 100 gives you 273. So that number 273 is the number of students that went on the field trip. Now, they didn't ask us for the number of students that went on the field trip. Now we have to do the second step and figure out these rooms, this room situation. So I have 273 students going. And for every 4 students, they're going to group 4 students in one room. So every time we're splitting things up into groups, that's long division or just division. So I'm going to divide 4 into 273, and that's going to tell me how many rooms they need to reserve for the trip. Now 4 can't go into 2, but 4 can go into 27 6 times. 4 times 6 is 24. I'm going to subtract that, and I get 3 left over. 4 can't go into 3. I'm going to bring down my 3. 4 goes into 33 8 times. 4 times 8 is 32. I'm going to subtract. I get 1 left over. Now, 4 can't go into 1, and there's nothing else over here. So remember, when that happens and I need a 0, I have to have a decimal and make sure you float it to the top. Now I can add my 0 and bring down my 0. 4 goes into 10 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. I'm running out of room. 10 minus 8 is 2. I'm going to bring down another 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times, and that cancels out because 4 times 5 is 20. That would 0 me out. So let's think about what we have here. 4 goes into 273 68.25 times. But you can't go into a hotel and say, I want 68.25 rooms. You need 68 whole rooms, and then you have some students left over, so you actually need 69 rooms in total. So the answer for Monday is 69 rooms. That's how many rooms they need to fit those 273 8th graders. Problem number 2. Quenisha wants to paint one wall for her bedroom a different color. If the wall is 10 feet by 14 feet, and each pint of paint she bought will cover 16 square feet, how many pints of paint will Quenisha need to buy? So she has this wall, and the wall is 16 by 14. Oh, I'm sorry, 16 was here. It's 10. 10 by 14. To find the area, the space in there, we're going to multiply those together. So I'm going to do 10 times 14 is 140. So that's how much space she needs to cover. And each pint of paint will cover 16 square feet. So what I need to do is take this 140 and divide it by 16 so I can figure out how many pints of paint that she will need to buy. So 16 can't go into 1 and it can't go into 14, so we're gonna have to see how many times it goes into 140. 16 goes into 148 times. 16 times 8 is 128. When I subtract that, I get 12 left over. 16 can't go into 12, so I'm gonna have to do what I did up here. I need a decimal. I'm gonna float it to the top. 16 goes into 120 because I brought down my 0 7 times. 16 times 7 is 112. When I subtract that, I get 8. I need another 0. 16 goes into 80 5 times, and 16 times 5 is 80, so I've zeroed out completely. Sorry, my division's kind of sliding off the page a little bit. So she needs 8.75 pints of paint to cover this wall. Now, again, you can't go into Home Depot or Lowe's and say, hey, I want 8.75 pints of paint. They sell them in wholes. So if she got only 8, if you only got the whole number, there would still be 0.75 of this wall left that she could not cover. So when you go into the store, you actually have to ask for 9 pints of paint. So that's our answer. 9 pints will cover that wall, and she'll have a little bit extra. Last one. There are currently 25 students in a class. If there was a 20% increase, that increase word is important, in students in the class this year, how many students were in the class at the end of the year? So remember, part over whole equals percent over 100. Part over whole. So we have a skeleton or a proportion. We always know to do our percent over 100 first. That's the easy stuff. And this is the whole number of students to start with. We want to know how much the part that they increased. So I start with 25 students. 25 times 20 is 500, and then you divide that by 100. So 5 students. They had a 5 student increase, or a 20% increase of students. So if they started out with 25, they had a 20% increase, which we said would be 5 students. At the end of the year, there were 30 students. So this is Monday's warm-up. Remember, I have the entire interactive notebook on Power School Learning, so all of these concepts are review, and we've already taken notes on them. So if you want to go back and look at notes, or if you want to just review this video a few times, you can, but remember to go on ClassKick and fill in these answers so that I know you watched this video. Also keep an eye out for Tuesdays. I'm going to be doing Tuesdays as well, and then you will have Wednesday and Thursdays to do on a Google form, which you can find on my Power School Learning page. Remember to contact me if you have any questions at all, and I will help you. I hope this helped and made sense. All right, bye for now.